to another exciting episode of the Extraordinary Men podcast. And featured today are the Extraordinary Men. Introduce yourself to my left or right. I'm not exactly sure.
I'm
According
on
to
the
me,
bottom.
it's to the right. So, Michael Midas Merritt, man, owner of Nerdy Nerds IT contract fulfillment company, also owner of Nerdy Shirty, spelled SHRTY. Make sure you go get your shirt.
All right. Marvin Business Services, a very large nonprofit in the city of Chicago, CEO of Excellence Enterprises, and co-host of Black Men Event Radio on here. To fuck with, because we are all extraordinary. But that song, that's old, real old.
And you guys know me, of course, the host, Phil Jones, Mike Jones, depending on how you know me personally or professionally. And today we're about to bring you episode 3 of the weekend edition of the Extraordinary Men Daytime Show. So today, our panel are going to discuss something that for somebody is controversial, and for other ones, it's actually just a way of life and the way that things are in our community. However, we're going to go ahead and break this thing down. We're going to talk about it. All I'm going to say is I'm giving a disclaimer now. Some of the things that are said in this episode are based on real life experiences and not just opinions that are being given based on the subject matter. So please listen to understand and not listen to respond. If you're catching this episode in passing or if you're catching it in the live shows. So today we're going to talk about a subject that we like to call the Susband, which the Susband can be broken down into the substitute husband or the son husband. A lot of times in our communities, and this community could be wider or smaller depending on the community itself, pick and choose as you see fit. The husband is generally when a husband type figure is created out of a son. Sometimes it could be even created out of a male friend who a woman is in a platonic relationship with to create the idea of what type of man that she always wanted to attract, yet never had the opportunity to have. So what happens is that in a lot of situations that these men go out into the world and think that this is the way that they're supposed to be and find themselves being used and abused by women who don't know how to appreciate these type of men. These are generally the men who die in the friend zone of some woman. I'm going to say this now. I have been on both sides of the fence when it comes down to this situation where I've been the recipient of the buns because a woman was intertwined with a weak man who was a husband, and I have been the husband listening to the advice of women that got me mistreated by other women when I got out into the field. So I'm going to open it up to the panel to go ahead and just elaborate as you see fit, and we're just going to let the conversation roll on.
But yeah, I like to chime in first. I got some things I want to get on. I'm glad I got that off before we was on the air. What I want to point out about the husband is that there's multiple husbands, you know what I'm saying, going into. And when I think of it, the son husband, a lot of these women have figured out the truth is, yes, you control your vagina. You decide who you sleep with. You decide when you sleep with somebody and when you don't sleep with them. You decide who get married and who don't. See? So they figured that out, and they was like, if I can get me a husband, and he'll do whatever the fuck I say, and marry me. Ha! But it don't ever work all the time. How they at now? Like, you got these husbands, like, want the dude who's the husband, solid rock, run your family with an iron fist, or run your family. They want it to be a, here go right here. Be a mother who has she's hardcore. She don't deal with no bullshit, don't deal with nothing. But when it comes down to her son and taking care of, she's got the softest spot in the world. She'll do anything. So it's like, why? Well, because if you analyze, the son needs you. He's dependent on you. Sense of power and special and security. He'll never leave me. This nigga needs me. But if you got somebody who, ain't like that, it tends to spark. Like, they don't want the dude who, goddamn it, got his own everything and all of that shit. And no, they want it to be their plan. And it's not a everybody thing. It's not. That's irrational. Could we say vast majority? The vast majority of women were good women, then it wouldn't be special to find a good woman. The vast majority of women were great, upstanding wives. Why? Because they be everywhere. But really bothers me when you got somebody who will do everything. So you ever see is the type of chick who deals with the husband, them the only niggas she ever had in life have all been simps. They've all been lames. They've never had shit for real to stab big moves. They've never done shit. That's her entire path. And they be real quick to say because they want to eliminate this card you about to play. See, and they want to eliminate you fit. They want to make type of way about some shit. But in actuality, when you look at a job, you look at it. Like, let's be real here. When you look at a job, you go to the About Me section and see how many times you go in and find out how many times it was dissolved, how many times some shit happened that was bad. So try to eliminate that. Then you look into a past, you see, oh, you fuck with all bums. Now you made a good decision. They will take that as, instead of saying, yo, they'll take that as, I got a new enemy now, and I got to be better than him. I got to challenge and do that. Versus if you were a son husband, because let's not get it twisted. Son husband doesn't mean you don't have no job. Don't mean that you're a bum. It just means that you don't possess the leadership qualities of a man. You possess a son still. You never grew up. You still following behind that woman's tits. You still, you're not leading your family. You can't. And they like it that way because those are what we call baby. They can be controlled. And controlling somebody is the main female to control everything from themselves to you, to your actions. And right to choose who get married, yeah, we're gonna fuck that up right now. We're gonna stop that shit. We're gonna day ass into this shit every day. And it's like it's out of control. It really is. When you got a dude that do every fucking thing. He pay for every corner, and all you do is pick apart what he do and try to find reasons why he did it for himself. That's what you do to your son when you're trying to teach him about selfishness. Like, what the fuck? It don't make sense, man. That's my little rant for this morning, I guess.
Well, I mean, you said a bunch of stuff in there, and it's like there's a lot of points that I like to unpack. I mean, just in general, it's like what I want to do is I want to just peel back the layers of this term that was created, why we created this specific term to describe this specific situation, and what it actually means when that young man finally ventures off into the dating world, and what are some of those experiences that they have after being misled with this false narrative about what a man should be based on a woman's perspective and what he finds out once he gets there.
That part is that part, right?
And that's the lane that I was going to go down. Is that the man becoming this simp or beta usually is the fault of the mother, and this is simply talking about the son. And the son or she to Mike's point, like she molds him and pushes him in a particular direction or to be a certain way that in her mind what a man is supposed to be and what a man is supposed to do, not realizing that she's setting this man up for failure for real. um this guy or yeah, this particular guy is literally, at his mom's every beck and call. I gotta go to the doctor. uh can you call off work for the next 3 days? And he's gonna call off work for the next 3 days. Oh, I gotta go to the grocery store. Or hey, there's a spider in the bathroom. Can you leave right now? Can you pause the game and drive an hour over here to come kill this spider? Like he's literally like his life is surrounded and engulfed by his mother.
You know,
And he's basically just a floor mat. Like she call you running. And it's not to say that you're not supposed to be there for your mom and things of that nature, but you're there on a husband level, pretty much doing and providing everything except sex.
oddly enough, it's like the molding of men to fit a narrative. That narrative oftentimes comes from a situation where men are being taught that let's start here. Men are being taught valuable information as far as respecting women, how to treat women, and how to do things for women that they care about. I
Correct.
won't deny that part.
Right.
What happens is that they're not being taught the differentiation that all women don't get that. That is very
Right.
specific women that you're trying to court that are showing you the level of interest that you're pouring back into them. Because again, it's like as it's already been observed, is that a mother's love and a mother's admiration for her son is unrivaled, is unmatched. I think that goes without say in majority of situations, or at least that's how we receive it. Now, when it comes down to how that love is interpreted between the mother and son, now because you aren't taught to differentiate between the fact that these women out here are not in it for the same reasons that mom is. You go out and you're looking for that same energy, or you're looking for a very similar energy. And because of the fact that it doesn't exist out in the world, you're constantly running into pitfalls where these women are saying, "Oh, we got us a mark. We got us somebody that we're going to take advantage of. We have somebody that
Yeah.
we're going to do wrong
Yep.
by them." Because it's like, okay, you have all the traits except male. You have every trait that we love except masculinity.
And
Yep.
that becomes attractive to them. I want to go on what you just said too, Mike, because that's true. You accept all responsibility, authority, all responsibility with no authority, no sex. You say shit about nothing. You have no say so in this lady's life at all. But you are the mate. That shit is fucking crazy. Fucking crazy. You take all the respect, all of this shit on. You help motherfuckers out. You do shit for motherfuckers, and you be asking for some shit to tell you that you ain't worth that shit. Like, and you stay there. That's what them son husbands and shit. That shit is to me. It's you're telling me free. It's not worth the benefits that I provide. It's not worth the protection of alone. Like, come on, dude. To have a motherfucker willing to throw their life away, y'all went to the mall together to buy you shit. Like, come on, G. Stop it. When
I
do it
think
become?
the son husband is pretty much being set up to be sabotaged. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think you said something about, saying living at home. And it's statistically, what I'm saying, a lot of individuals today, grown individuals at that, are living at home with mom.
And they cool with that.
And not only are they cool with it, but the mom is cool with it. You know what I'm saying? Because they got
just like
somebody
them.
at home to take the trash out. They got somebody at home to cut the grass. They got somebody at home to go wash the car. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever task that the husband is supposed to do, the son is there to do it, and they're fine with the son being home.
The son into their husband. You notice most do that when they got a grown dude living in the house like that. Most of them are in the house. You know what I'm saying? And they had a son. They don't see the need to appeal to men as much as they would if they needed somebody to cut around the house.
Mm-hmm.
You see, because just like them women are doing the mother's son, so is they mamas. That's all they. Son must have heard me on the podcast. Come on,
Young Prince.
what's up, my boy?
Senor Handsome Jr.
Say hi.
And I think the biggest issue with it is the level of being oblivious to it, because they don't know. They think, like to your point, they think that the way that they're being raised and taught is this is what it is. This is life. You know what I'm saying? This is how it's supposed to be. And then when they get out there in the real world and they start to get used and abused and heartbroken, and they not understanding what's going on, and you know what I'm saying, mom didn't prepare me for this, and I thought everybody was going to be like this. I thought this is what everybody was looking for, and you know what I'm saying, you don't set him up for real to be in a relationship for real, to be treated like a man for real.
So let me ask a question because I was thinking of something as you guys were talking. I just wanted to jot down a couple of notes, and a question came to mind because for the women who might be watching this, it's like immediately what does it sound like? It's, oh, you're blaming the women for the reason why they have to raise the sons the way that they raise the sons. Obviously, we know that in these communities where this is most prevalent, there's a lack of masculine energy within the household. What role do you think that the lack of having fathers play, or active father, so to speak? And I'm not talking about we're gonna exclude the situations to where the mother is to blame, and we're gonna say as far as the men who willfully do not participate in the raising of their children. What role do you think that plays in the beta male imagery?
I think the issue with that is, and there's quite a few, and one could be to where simply you clearly knew the guy wasn't anything, and you still had the kid by him, trying to use the kid, and again, no woman bashing, nothing like that, but this is reality. Using the kid to try to get him to come around, or to keep him around, maybe, trying to change this man. He gonna be the man that I want him to be, that I need him to be, and that is never the case. That cases like that is unicorn status. It's very rare if that happens. Other situations, uh, we got the typical, dad locked up again. You messing with a dude that wasn't nothing. He out here doing stuff that he ain't supposed to be doing. Now he locked up. Now he's away from the kid. Or you have a scorned woman, and she keeps the kid away from the father when the father is trying to be there. So those, I think
Yeah.
those are two big cases right there.
Or the business,
Would you say?
the one that
I,
can't pay.
It's getting harder to hear you. I'm
it's
sorry.
getting, you're right.
What about now?
Yeah.
Good.
The ones that keep daddy away because they can't pay, and then the ones just they have to feel they got the one up, so they keep control by saying. So many different scenarios, and every woman that's seeing this knows exactly they talking about. They know what's going on, but they'll still be like, "No, y'all up there." It's just crazy, man.
So 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 if I heard that right, you saying that they the one that can't pay, they'll dump the kid off on the one that can pay.
Nah, if daddy can't pay, they won't let him see the kid. And he say no, then it's sin.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, if it's, hey, I don't have it right now. Oh, well, call me when you do, because if you ain't got that, then how you gonna care for the? Here we go.
You know, I think that, like, even in using that example, the fact that children have been utilized as bargaining chips for transactional means, the fact that there's even laws in place that allow this to happen, or there's lackadaisical laws that are not being enforced adequately to ensure that men have an equal, or at least as close to an equal stake in being able to spend time with the children and to do what they need to do with the children. I mean, it's like, obviously we know that this is a huge, huge disadvantage for the child. And it's like, as far as I can talk about from a man's point of view, how much it hurts or how much is this or how much is that, it's like the only real loser is the child, because the child is losing that bond. They're losing that male to male bond. If we're talking about male children, as far as women children,
Right.
obviously they're losing that security of having a male around or having their father around to show them that love and that empowerment. So there's always that ambiguity in
Right.
the
To
back
show
of
them
their
how a man's
minds.
supposed to treat them.
I mean, not even just that part, but just as far as there's one thing about having a man around, and there's another thing about having your father.
Right. Right.
You know, and it's like, I will tell anybody who is a stepfather in any respect can probably speak on this, that there's always this little small piece that never really fully allows you to connect with them, no matter how much you love them, no matter how much you'll do for them, no matter how much you want to do for them. You can never truly feel that full level of connection. And this is why a lot of men opt out of wanting to date women who have children by other men, because it's always lingering over your mind. The more that you fall in love with them, the more you're reminded that that bloodline isn't mine. So I mean, that's a horse of a different feather altogether. But in a nutshell, I do think that when we look at situations to where men and women relations and how it affects the child's foundational being, is the fact that there's a huge disadvantage. And the reason why I propose this question, as far as the male absence and its role that it plays in beta activity, first thing came to my mind was the fact that, well, who is showing them how a man is supposed to be? I can't learn, I can't teach my daughter how to be a woman. I can teach her what my idea of what a woman should do for a man, but I can't teach her what a woman is supposed to do. I can't teach her how to be more feminine. I can't teach how to be more ladylike. I can only give her ideas based off of what I'd like to see.
Right. Because that's a daughter wife, and I don't think that exists.
Well, the thing is that at the end of the day, it's like in more traditional societies, they emulate the behavior of their mothers based off how they seen their mothers and their fathers interact. Because the goal was to go from being daughter to a wife. It wasn't going daughter to a career. It wasn't going daughter to a college. It wasn't going daughter to a liberal anything. It was,
Right.
the dream was graduating from this point to this point. Bringing in a child into the world was one of the greatest achievements.
Still paramount.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's not. Obviously, you know, as much as Western society like to skew the details and make it appear
Right.
as if it's something other than what it is, truth be told, this has historically always been one of the biggest things. It's like literally a woman would feel shamed And you can even read this in the Bible. Like if I'm not mistaken, was it Job or Abraham? Can't remember specifically. Don't quote me directly on this, but I do remember even in the Bible, the wife was unable to bear a child to where he went and got the maid pregnant, and
Hmm.
then finally was able to get his wife pregnant soon after. But at the same token, it's like the woman felt hopeless. And who was it? King Louis the Fourth, or one of the either King Louis or one of those guys, that he beheaded almost every wife that he had, or divorced almost every wife that he had, up until a woman could bear him a son.
Bear him a son, yeah.
So historically, we can see situations. I mean, in kingdoms, the concept of a male heir to pass on the throne, I mean, it's been one of the most paramount things ever. And the reason why we even talking about the husband now is because of the importance that a man plays in almost every aspect of society. But to diminish this and to put it in a situation to where now you have a group of women who are trying to determine what a man should be, is that not selfish? Is that not doing stuff maliciously for their own benefit and not thinking about the well-being of what that man is going to be?
That's
Is that not
exactly what it is.
is that not the same as taming a lion or taming a a tiger in a petting zoo and then releasing it into the wild?
That's
It'll get
exactly what it
killed.
is.
So, with all that being said, I propose this question to you guys. I really want to know what y'all think about this. What does a man have to do to overcome the effects of being placed in that situation, being a mama's boy or being somebody who is super prone to feminine ideology, in order to learn his masculine self? What does he have to do in order to rediscover his masculinity?
Well, first of all, he the very first thing he needs to do is recognize that that's the situation he's in the first place. He has to know that he's in that situation. And then once he realizes that he's in that situation, then he needs to seek out the Extraordinary Men podcast. But what he needs to do is he needs to find uh, an element or group of guys that he can get around and have these talks and start to spread ideas and he need to get around masculine energy to really understand like the differences and the dynamics of how he's being raised to how the real world is for real. So he needs to find some groups. He needs to find events. He needs to, whatever he needs to do. But he definitely needs to seek. He needs to seek it out. He needs to recognize it and seek out.
One of the biggest things that I look at is, there was a quote, and I don't know for sure if this actually came from Harriet Tubman or not, but there was a quote that used to hang up in one of my classes when we were at Crete. I don't know if anybody remembers seeing this, but it used to say, "I saved hundreds of slaves in the Underground Railroad. I could have saved hundreds more if only they knew they were slaves."
Hmm.
Anybody ever seen that quote?
Yeah.
To think about the fact that, and my own personal experiences, I know what it feels like to be a whole sucker. I know what it feels like to be that guy. And it wasn't so much that my mother raised me to be that way, but it was more so about the fact that I felt this, I felt something in me that made me feel like I needed to be different, like I needed to not be like the other guys, because the women that were around always complained, and you never really thought about the fact that, why do you keep going back to the same type of dude over and over again, until you started really having real life experiences with your own situation. I used to sit there and I used to think to myself over and over again, it's like, if only they knew that there were better options out here. Maybe they don't know that there's better options out here. Maybe they don't know that there are men who are really, and then you find yourself having these conversations with women about how, oh, if you just really understood how beautiful you were, and you really understood this, and this about yourself, and if you really valued yourself a little bit heavier, and you just like fill them up, fill them up, fill them up.
I think that's it right there. I believe that all people know that they can do better, man. Like you clearly know that your situation isn't the best. Ain't nothing perfect, but it can be a whole hell of a lot better, and this. So I think they just get stuck in this cycle of what do you call it? Familiarity. It's familiar to them, so therefore it's comfortable to them. You know, yeah.
So, what advice would you give to mothers raising sons to prevent them from going down this vicious cycle that we've seen happen, play out over and over again with young men?
They need to seek out mentor programs because they actually have programs in place for such as this conversation that we're having for men to be able to get around masculine energy, to get around individuals that are father like figures, to get around individuals that can show them things and teach them things and how to conduct themselves and how to control their emotions and feelings and all this other stuff. Like they have these programs out there, they are there. So
So,
my question is, uh how do we, or how do you break this same cycle of having a son husband and you do have a man in the house, because that exists too.
good question. You see, what happens is that you have to take into consideration that you have generations of this same activity that plays out over and over again. So, where the problem comes in is the fact that a lot of men, and I want y'all listening, I'm gonna stay directly on the camera when I say this. A lot of men are in marriages or in relationships with women who they were the second option. Hear me what I'm saying. A lot of men are in relationships with women who they were the second option. That a woman waited him out, gauged behaviors, everything else. She kept her options open until she felt like that window was closing, and then she accepted your offer. And what happens is that because of the fact that you stuck around and all the things that you did to try to woo her, you may feel that your hard work and consistency won her over. When really she came to an unfortunate realization that you were probably the best she was going to do for what she could get out of the deal. So the power dynamic is in her hands. So in that situation, you have accepted a marital or relationship offer to procreate and to create a family in the beta position. The power dynamic rests in her shoulders. So because you worked so hard to get her, you cannot exert authority in that household because of the fact that all the power throughout the entire mating phase was in her hands. So that also comes down to when it comes to raising children. So while raising the children, yeah, Queen Bee,
Yeah.
you've created a situation where that woman is now the Queen Bee, and you are literally working for her approval your whole time with her. And there's two things that were in that relationship. Either A, she's going to get bored with you and cheat, or she's going to get bored with you and find a better option, or she's just going to do something. Or B, you're going to wake up one day and you're going to realize, like, man, I sold and gave everything that I had, and this is what the outcome was. Any gray area in between those two dynamics, I should say, are likely outcomes that you'll reach with that situation. Now, the son husband that is produced is because of the fact that men naturally gravitate to their mothers. But if the power in the eyes of a boy is that the mom is the strong figure in the household. There's nothing that, as he's coming into his adolescence and his young early adulthood, that is going to shift him over to get closer to dad. Because that's generally what happens. I
Right.
have a teenage daughter. My teenage daughter has been daddy's little girl since I could put her over my shoulders and walk around with her. Carried her around everywhere that I could, up until I could no longer carry her around no more because it was socially awkward. Now she's 14 years old. Now she's going through certain body changes and certain emotional changes that make her cleave more to her mother. But the figure that I am in her life is that I still have an authority. Thank you, John Anonymous, Animalis. I'm gonna figure that out. But you have an authority. So therefore, she will always, when you raise your voice as the authority, or when you exert yourself as an authority, she identifies dad just spoke, everything shuts down.
Right.
That cultivated over time. And that also happened because mom saw you as an authority figure that when you spoke, she did not try to overstep you. In those situations where the wife has the power dynamic when she walks into the situation, she is now and always will be the power dynamic. So when she raises her voice and when the son watches the father submit, that's what he's gonna know to do. That when a woman get loud, when she gets aggressive, when she gets roar, you submit. And that's how he's going to see the world.
Mm. It's a good answer.
Hard drop out. House blew up.
No, so I had proposed the question of how do you handle or how do we deal with the husband when there is a man or a husband in the house, because that situation exists as well.
Well, you keep in from. Well, this you nip that shit because it's not a secret that the husband has an agenda, whatever that agenda may be, and it's crazy the things that are accepted nowadays, and it's like it's almost like they're norms. And it's like, how do you know the husband is in the house? How is the husband accepting that? Where's he a husband? Because we don't even like. Because we know you want to fuck. We know that's what they talking to you for. Lesson history lesson and tell me where y'all grew up as cousins or something. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, or it's like, what? It's all in standards. Who's going to accept what? How do you do it is dealing with that woman? Is she worth that? Is she worth that? And if she is, God, I can't figure one out that would be worth me putting up with other dudes in my life because of her. All right. Back with a cup.
Wait,
All
what was that last part? You said putting up with what now?
right. It's hard to put up with. You know, it's like, I'm sorry, y'all.
For the record, we all fathers. We all have real things. This podcast is a celebration to all men of all
Yeah,
kinds, all
my kids is right
situations.
above my head upstairs, just stomping the hell out of the floor.
So we ask y'all to understand that we are active parents when it comes down to our children, and sometimes they're gonna be in the podcast.
Yeah. His mom just the only one up and all in my grill. But ain't gonna be. That's what he not gonna be.
A Susband.
This one different already. But it's like understand more principles than they do. Yeah, I seen.
Congratulations. Congratulations on your girl.
Huh?
You don't see the messages?
Oh, congratulations. Definitely. That's crazy.
Absolutely.
And you know the hard thing, raising their daddy's girl, but you gotta keep the principles in them because we all got girls too.
Oh yeah, I'm the only one without a boy. Soon I'll have my young heir.
He coming. It took me 10 years to get mine. You know, I wasn't
Shit.
going around beheading
Say she
like
grown with babies.
Louis,
Like
like King
he a
Louis.
whole grandfather. He
I
already got
stuck it
little.
out.
Say his little one got little ones. You know,
Like
for me, that's one of the biggest accomplishments in the world for me. Is like the day that I can sit down and look at my offsprings. Like, man, they came from me.
Yeah.
Like they go, I'm sitting in a room with 2, 3 generations that all came from me. Like that's got to be
Yeah.
the coolest feeling ever.
That's what Andrew Tate was talking about. Like, during, Big Mama's birthday, you got a room filled with 60 to 70 people that all came from her. Like, ain't nobody in there talking about, saying how was grandma's hot girl summers and all this. Everybody is sharing and just giving different stories of how they interacted with Big Mama, what they love about Big Mama. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a beautiful thing, man.
So just to recap, what we talked about today, for those who are just now tuning in, and for those who are checking out, we talked about this thing that we coined the phrase of the susband, the substitute husband and or the son husband, which they are created men who were manufactured for the enjoyment of a woman to be able to utilize him as a substitute for having a man. So this is something that was created off the idea of what a woman may feel a man is supposed to be without any actual masculine energy being utilized to form this male. Now, once that male gets of age, either he becomes dependent on women or he becomes someone who is super dependable toward women with no benefit to himself, and or he's just become someone that habitually gets used because what his mother created for her own benefit turns around out in the street. Women are just using and taking advantage of that thing. Also,
Yeah,
this can
because they
apply.
can recognize that. They see it and recognize it.
Now, the whole thing is that no point are we saying that there's anything wrong with being a gentleman. At no point are we saying that there's anything wrong with being a man of morals, dignity, and respect. There's nothing wrong with treating a woman with dignity and respect. What there is a problem with is having a blanket slate of thinking that all women deserve your maximum energy right out the gate.
Right.
And what happens is that because of the fact that your mothers are generally the archetype of womanhood in your eyes, you walk out into the world and you're trying to find a mirror image of what that thing is. Now, I told somebody once before that, and forgive me, mom, if you ever see this, my mom was a hoe to somebody. She was sideways, she was weekend pussy for somebody. My mom was every derogatory thing that I have said about a woman. She is everything in her generation to some other man. And I have to respect the fact that just because I came from this woman, that she's still a person. And whatever it is that she's indulged in, good, bad, or indifferent, or however it is a man has viewed her over her years, is no different than how I may see anybody today. Even if the stereotypes and the rumors are not rooted in truth, that does not stop somebody from having an opinion about their behavior. And every generation preceding what a woman's role was far more strict than what it is in modern day.
Yeah.
So if my mom was acting in the way that these women are acting today in the 70s, the shame that would be on her family would be so much different. And if her mother was acting that way in the 50s, the shame would be that much greater than her mother in the 30s and so forth. So idealistically, this sole concept, and I really want y'all to think about this, and just chime in whenever y'all ready. The Susband is probably one of the most cancerous types of men in existence. And the reason why is because of the fact that he's been trained to believe the words of women with no recourse.
You know what? And the thing is, when I look back, it's crazy you said our mothers were still, and that is 100% correct. He is the most dangerous one. Trained to believe, but he's trained to act on. And he's the dude when your you and your girl get into it because he's the one over there telling her that she right no matter what. He's the male opinion. I got a male opinion. My male friend said that I was right. I know the fuck they did. All
Of
them.
course he did.
Of course he did. He wants you to feel good about your decision. He wants you to fuck that relationship up so he can possibly the 1% chance that you gonna go for it in your state of vulnerability. That's what it's all for. Everything in this fucking world revolves around that shit. If a dude finds it easier to get sex by his life away, if he figures this, you know what I'm saying? If a guy gets sex easy, important, he's not gonna send his life away. It's
And Marvin,
it's
they're
like
not catching you as well.
Yeah, they not liking your service. They're commenting on your service.
oh shit. Shit. Can you
Maybe
hear me
try
now?
turning the camera off to see if it'll give you a clearer audio.
Can you hear me now?
Let's try now.
All right, yeah. Now stuff is popping in. Yeah, now populate. Yeah, that means that somebody just turned something on in the house and start. But yeah, that dude is the most dangerous dude because he's the one that's gonna break your relationship and fuck, and you're not gonna like him and keep him anyway. He's gonna give fuck. He's gonna give you bad advice about everything and make you feel like you have a man's opinion. And realize, like, man, I told that bitch she's right. She dumb as hell. I don't know what the fuck that bitch thinking. I'm really just trying to woo woo. That's who they are. He's the cancer that spreads. Uh, and our mothers were women. There is somebody who thinks our mothers are less than. There is somebody out there, and they might have some facts behind it to base how they feel. Who knows? I don't dig into it. I just know that it exists. So it's like that cancer spreads because that with one chick. He's not your friend only. He's doing that with several. That's my ad libs.
Even
Yeah,
Junior thinks it's
you
exciting.
right.
Like, whoa, for real?
Right. And that definitely opens the door for a whole different topic. Definitely don't have time to go that deep in with that topic here today. But that whole kind of like that whole beta alpha and wolves and sheep's clothing, that you act this way, but you really operate this way, like that's dangerous. Yeah, he
That
did.
is true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
But
did.
he absolutely did.
I mean,
is that
yeah,
not though? From fucking eyelashes to girdles, ain't that what they do every day though? Not give you bad advice on girls, because see, there's the female call that, uh, but she does the same shit. She's a bullshit dude to see a dude, a good dude in a relationship, and try to fuck it up. And these bitches listen to her too. It's like everything. Thank you. It's kind of crazy.
You know, I've had I had women friends that over say a period of time, obviously prior to marriage and everything. But I've had women friends to where I would confide in them with certain information. And I would tell them about what was going on with me as I was intertwined, and they would always give me feedback, telling me, "Oh well, if she's doing this, is what you're doing this and doing it." I remember one specific day, right? I was attending Kennedy King back on 63rd and Halsted. I was in the student government office, and there was two of the student government members that were sitting in there. I started dating this young lady whose name shall remain anonymous, but they were not too fond of the young lady that I started dating. The first thing comes out of their mouths is, "Yeah, I don't see how that work. You guys don't really mesh too well. You're doing this, and she seems to be over here. Like y'all don't really seem like." I'm like, okay, well, I feel you, but what about y'all? What's up with y'all then? If y'all think that y'all could be better options, because clearly y'all can see what's wrong, then y'all could do better. That's my opinion. So I was like, okay, well, what about y'all? Swerve, deflection, swerve, deflection. Yeah, I just don't see that working. But and it's amazing how people will infect your situation because they're trying to create you into an image that they like, where they can benefit from it with no benefit to you. You'll have female friends who, and female, obviously, I don't want the woke community trying to come after me about using these terms, but you will have a woman friend that no matter what happens, they never like the woman that you with. You can never choose one that's good. And once you finally got one that's good, they disappear. They just fall back. They're out of the picture. Secretly, were harboring emotions for you the whole time. You won't talk to them for a year or two. Something happened. You know, I always had feelings for you back in the day. Like try to infect confusion in you after the fact. So yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I
I've been
definitely
through
feel
that.
like yeah, I definitely feel like the Susband concept is so deep that the manipulative abilities that some women possess, they will use them solely, and the common denominator is whether it's a mother with her son, whether it's your female friend, whether it's even aunties and nephews, whatever the circumstances may be, that these relationships are cultivated solely off of the premise of making a man that I can benefit from his energy without the obligation of sex.
Yeah,
All of the responsibility
that
with
is
no.
that is what a husband is in a nutshell.
And
All
like
of the
how going out
benefits, all
my
of the bonuses
let,
and
let me
perks.
this in the crowd that's saying, what is if it's a friend providing? Uh, if somebody run up and snatch your purse off, he got to risk his life behind that shit. He got to go try to get your purse back. Fight.
The husband
If
has
y'all
to go
outside,
try and get that purse. Yes.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, your male friend. They say, what do they benefit for everything as your male friend? Him walking with you, the protection and the that happening to you has dropped down to less than 1% just because that dude walking with you. Somebody get to talking crazy, he gonna do something about it because he has to. As a man sitting here with this woman, whether y'all fucking or not, and you know that, you taking advantage of that. And it's like, what do you get? You get, most times they pay for everything, so that helps your pockets. Like they with you, like they getting everything. You get all the benefits with no responsibility, right? And that's free. That shit is free. When females figure out that free shit is not the same as asking for a motherfucker to protect us doing something that's mutually pleasurable as me risking my for you somebody come in this motherfucker. You see what I'm saying? They don't whatever. It's a thing, man. Especially with this equal thing. They all supposed to be doing.
Yeah, that's a different topic as well too. That we could spin off and talk about later on. The equality and things of that nature. Because there's different layers to that onion too. You know.
All right, so gentlemen, at this time, what I would like to do is utilize this last 4 minutes that we have on this podcast. Number one, to first thank you guys for tuning in. Wait a minute, let me get hashtag comments. After the divorce, I tried dedicating myself to helping widows and orphans.
Can you expound on that? Like, what exactly were
When you
you
say when
doing?
you say yeah, when you say dedicating yourself to
Helping?
helping
Yeah,
widows and orphans, like what exactly did you do? And I'd like to know what has been the outcome of that since.
yeah. Okay.
When you say she used you, is this the widow or is this the wife?
Oh, so did you help widows? Okay, so you help widows be able to find new relationships? Is what you saying?
What it sounds like is that she took advantage of what he was offering. That he's like she utilized him for what he had to offer with no
I
benefit
see
to
what he
him.
was saying. Oh, so that was like a sense of little
They
sarcasm that I help widows.
paying,
Okay.
paying right now. Yes, so that means I think he's paying alimony to support. Yep, pool
Yep.
funds.
Yep.
Yep,
Yeah.
pool funds together. Now he
I
taking
see
care
what
of
I
her.
see what he's saying. I see what he's saying.
Yeah.
Boy, story of the fucking year.
Your story your
But
story represents about 50% of American men.
Man, I would say about 60 to 70, man.
I said 50% of American men because again, we not as far as concerned with the number of women who initiate divorces. And my man's
It's
an ordained
alarming.
minister on top of it.
It's alarming.
are initiated by women.
You know, that's so shameful that to give yourself to God and then to have a woman deface the most sacred institution ever created.
It's not though. It's a business now.
Yeah, you got a lot of women out here that are married, what I'm saying, two, three, four times. Like that's their hustle. Alimony is their hustle.
You know, and because once you get married again, the last husband, so they get divorced to get married to a new one with a check. But you know,
I mean, at the end of the day, regardless of how it plays out, sometimes there's a situation that you're put in and there's a message inside of it. Now, what we get from that situation obviously is all contingent on what we're trying to learn about ourselves and what we're trying to learn about those situations. So I'll never judge a man's outcome because at the end of the day, the outcome that you received, if it made you a better person from the experience, that at the end of the day is what matters. Because a lot of guys go through these
Right.
situations and they never make it back. They never recover a fraction of what they lost. I mean, it's possible. It is absolutely possible.
And they still make it though.
But let me ask you this: where are you at in your life now? Like where are you at with peace now? Are you better off now?
Like the most important question, yeah,
Yes.
like where are you
Yeah, you.
personally as far as peace is concerned? Are you in a peaceful place after the fact?
Right. Like you know what I'm saying? Is your bill still, you know what I'm saying, still on point? Is your vehicle still on point? Is your shelter still on point?
Where I need to be, doing what I need to be.
Okay.
Look,
All right. Okay.
I'm I'm 100% with you, brother. I'm 100% with you. Now, to anybody else that's watching this situation, the one thing that I definitely want to get across is the fact that no matter what your circumstances are, outcome plays a lot, and your perception of outcome plays a lot as well. That sometimes you may see a situation and some people see it, they demonize it, they curse it. And other times it could be a curse, but it could have a gift inside of it. Regardless of the outcome of the situation, everything at that point in time is up to perception. And how you deal with it after it happens will really play a lot into how your future is predicated. Now, for those who have been in situations where they've been divorced, where they've been, I guess, used, where they've been taken advantage of, whatever the circumstances may be, you have to understand that there's something to learn from those circumstances. Everything, there's a message in everything. Now, it's the one thing that I would say my closeout of this podcast today would be that there's a message in everything. When it comes down to how men interact with women, you have to come to the realization that those interactions are very delicate because of the fact that your masculinity matters. No matter how much they try to make it sound like a dirty word, no matter how much the world tries to take these things and make them and muddy them up, our roles as men are our roles as men. We may not all be the same kind of men, but being a man, first and foremost, is the priority. And whatever capacity that comes in, you have to remember that that is the thing that you bring to the table first and foremost. Your strength, your awareness, your wisdom, your finances, and various other things that I can't think of right off the top of my head. Podcast closeouts, gentlemen.
That was perfect right there. Mic drop. Good night. Um, I think that which I had kind of already stated before, is that, you know, any woman that has a son or sons, you have to, especially when they're starting to get of age, you really should start to inject mentors and other, you know, masculine individuals that, you know, for a fact, we're not going off feelings, for a fact, are going to give them extremely or extraordinary advice and tips and try to, you know, help and mold them into being, you know, well suitable men dealing with relationships and dealing with society, being able to make rational decisions, being able to handle their emotions and things of that nature. We need to put these particular sons, boys, sons in place in these programs to help them out, so that we're not dealing with, you know, these type of beta individuals, or they become these type of beta individuals later. I think that we need to, where they need to kind of dispel this whole ideology of, well, I'm going to mold him into what I think he should be, and how I feel he should be, because at the end of the day, you're doing nothing but setting them up to be utilized, well, not even utilized, just straight out used and abused, heartbroken, and everything else that comes along with that. So I think that you guys should seek uh programs for your sons.
Marvin, close out commentary.
Uh, close out. I feel like this is a good show. A lot of stuff here. I say definitely. You know, keep a mentor. Find the dude that you are fucking around with has the leadership qualities of son as a man, as a leader. Don't just go for what you think you like. Actually see, because that's who you're gonna be. So figure it out. You wanna say bye? Bye. All right, Junior, say bye. Bye.
I appreciate you hanging out with us today, John. Absolutely.
We absolutely, and I believe that's the most
Yes,
important
yes,
thing, that
sir.
we do have to understand that it is our role, and with the steps that we take to make sure that we contribute adequately to society, is that when society tries to tell us that something that we know is wrong, we, especially as the men of the society, have to push back, and we have to fight the good fight, no matter what the outcome is. We have to have tried. They've pushed the envelope way too far at this point, and we have to continue to stand firm and say right is right and wrong is wrong. I'm not trying to please you. I'm not trying to be your friend. I'm not trying to appease you.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer peace, but I'm willing to go to war to obtain it.
Here, here.
All right,
My
guys,
gun
that's
safe
enough of
said
hearing
the
my
same
mouth for
thing.
today. You said what?
I said my gun safe said the same thing.
Peace or else. I mean, that's pretty much the
Yeah.
gist. All right, gentlemen, peace. Thank y'all
All
for
right.
another lovely episode. Tune in with us every Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard, 10 a.m. Central Time. We come here every weekend, guaranteed, or your money back. And since it's free, I have nothing to give you, but just tune in anyway.
All right. Thanks, John.